this is Lotus. Join me every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Rev-Up Slu 97.1 FM for Unrestricted. What we don't talk about, what we should talk about, and what we will be talking about. Don't forget to join me every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Rev-Up Slu 97.1 FM for Unrestricted.
It's now time to present Unrestricted, hosted by the beautiful Lotus. Lotus, good morning.
Good morning, Andre. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our Facebook listeners, those on X, on YouTube. Where else, Andre? Everywhere else. Yeah. Normal radio.
We online.
Yes. Good morning to everyone. Welcome to another edition of Unrestricted.
Just let our listeners know in advance that we still have some construction taking place at our next door neighbor. So you may have some banging and knocking.
Some drilling.
Yes, that too.
Yes. Okay, Andre, so let's dive right into this morning's topic, unless there's something you want to tell me, Andre. You okay? All is well?
Yes, I'm all right. Just a little nasal.
Okay. And Tony, I greetings to Tony. I hope he gets better very soon.
I hope so too.
Okay, this morning, Andre, I want to talk about something that I think is very serious. So this morning we're not going to laugh too much.
You sure?
No, I don't want to laugh, Andre. Don't make me laugh.
Okay.
It's a very serious conversation, Andre. I think over the past decade or more, there has been an increase in that sort of behavior. And so this morning we're going to talk about collusion and its impact on the workplace and society as a whole, and just organizations, Andre. Collusion really. So we ask ourselves, what is collusion? If you hear people say, collusion, what is collusion? So collusion is the secret agreement or cooperation amongst two or more persons. So they're coming together for one common cause, and it's either illegal or it's for a deceitful purpose. So, we say in our local palace, it's coplo. You've heard that term,
yes,
right?
Of course,
yes. So today, Andre, there seems to be a rise in that sort of behavior, and that is why a lot of organizations or groups or workplaces are stuck, because when things go wrong, people sit and they don't say anything, or they join for different reasons, right? So today we are not only speaking about colluding to gain some financial advantage, but I need us to discuss colluding to victimize, to fire, to frustrate, and to inflict stress. So really, it's not always to steal, like to take money from the company. It's really to get, an advantage, or to build your own little clique. So you hear people say a lot now, we have many cliques.
And by the way, Lotus, the collusion is not only limited to what's happening in a particular establishment. You also have collusion on the outside, your outside forces, right, trying to get involved by saying things, negative things about employees to their bosses and so on. Yes,
Andre. So, and it's really, really bad. You hear people talk about that so much now, and it's affecting the root of the company's objectives, because many times, or even the organization or the group, many times we see that the organizations or groups have visions and missions, and the visions and missions are so nicely written to achieve the this and achieve the that, and to bring people together, and to be honest. They use words like that in their missions and visions. But when you get inside of the organization or you talk to people, you realize that that's not what's happening at all. So normally they're on the total opposite side. And when they begin to do things that are just off, some people join because, and we will look at some of the many reasons why they jump, why they get involved in some of these things and don't speak up about it. And they stand up on the sidelines watching it happen. And I think these people that watch it happen are equally responsible. And I think that's what I would like my callers to debunk. Tell me that you're not taking part in it if you stand up and you don't say anything. Because now we have a lot of organizations putting in place whistleblower systems, and whistleblower systems are really supposed to be anonymous lines where you can complain, you can say something, and other companies have some systems that are more intricate and less, where they do little surveys to ask you how you feel, and they try not to attach your name to it so that you wouldn't be further victimized. So I want to talk about collusion this morning. Edmund Burke has a quote that says, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." And I think a lot of us think we are good men, right, Andre?
I think so.
We are good men. And we say we're really good. But then we see things happening in organizations or even in groups, and we say nothing. We mind our business. I know there's a term we use these days, drinking water and minding our business.
Yeah.
But do we feel comfortable doing that when we have to face our own consciences, knowing that things are going wrong? And I will speak further on the chameleon effect, where some people just take the position of what's going on. So they stand for nothing, they say nothing, and they're just happy with whatever is happening. And can we hold people accountable for that, right? So collusion can take various forms, including fraud or information sharing to influence the market or pricing. It is a serious issue that can lead to significant financial loss and reputational damage. So, like I said, we're not going to go into the financial part of things where people are stealing money. We want to talk about, just the integrity, the lack of integrity that exists, and people continue to come together to actually do things that are against what is to be done. So say, for instance, there are organizations, you go into the organization, there's a committee, and the chair of the committee is a thief, the secretary is a thief, the treasurer, plivole, you know what I'm saying? So all of them come together and they share that common goal of doing things that are not right. And so you cannot infiltrate those groups. You cannot separate them because they're on the same page, yeah? They're on the same page. And so what do we do when we see these things happening? And how can we dismantle those groups? Can these groups be dismantled at all? Or do they extend to, like you say, outside the organization? So sometimes even when you try to get the board involved, is the board that way too? Or the board know certain things are happening? Or people hold you hostage and you really cannot say anything. So say, Andre, even if you're not a thief, and back in the day you did something wrong, and you made one mistake to collude with that person have the gun in your back. So you cannot really, there's no flexibility for you to say, well, I don't think this is right. So you just go along your merry way, and it continues to happen. And we see that happening all the time. So we're going to look at the examples of collusion, first of all, so that we understand what we're really talking about. And I want our callers to call, because I know that people go through these things or see these things, and we want to discuss how do we begin to turn it around. Because I think if we don't, at some point, they say that the earth corrects itself, or things corrects themselves, because after a while, when you do something so bad and it's becoming so bad, it begins to infect and affect us in ways that we cannot take it again. So sometimes we have to break, or we have to, stop it or speak about it. So let's talk about the examples of collusion. So there's employee infidelity, where employees work with external parties like suppliers to manipulate invoices or payments. So that happens a lot with people that work on commission, people who sell things, outside the company. They have their little coplos with the suppliers so that they can get a little more, or they can get things, at an advantage. And of course, we spoke of fraud, where you have two or more employees collaborating to steal funds or other assets. So somebody might be stealing something, and you realize they're stealing, and you tell them, Gasser, you cannot do that. And they say, well, come, I'll give you your share. And then you say, okay, at least if I'm getting my share, then I don't have. And that's how a lot of us get in the trap, right, Andre? Because we feel that that's great. The person believe in giving me some. And next thing you know, you cannot get out of it. It starts to get bigger and bigger. Because a lot of times when people start to do things and they don't get caught, they believe that they can continue to do it, and they become expert at it, and then they think that the devil is their friend, right?
That's true.
And so when you start to get deep into the thing, then you get the lash. So if you accept the gifts as well, then you're part of the problem. And we look at price fixing, insider information. But what I want us to focus on is on you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, which is the unethical behavior where individuals support each other. We support each other's actions even though they are wrong, to maintain a sense of emotional safety. I mean, this speak of emotional safety. It's like some of us, we want validation and we need to be part of something. And I think it starts from a lack of self-confidence, like loving yourself, respecting yourself. So you want to be part of the clique. So you're so loose, almost like a prostitute. Like you're so loose. You don't stop to say, I don't want to be part of that. But you want to be part of the group. You want senior management to be your friend. You want maybe a manager to be your friend. You want your colleague to really like you. So you get into things for the emotional safety. And most times we are not happy doing it. But you are part of the problem, because if something continues to persist, then you continue to be, to encourage it. Gossip. Using gossip to create a bond with a colleague by excluding a third party. So you're working in a cubicle, there's 4 of y'all, and all of a sudden now you want to turn 2 of the staff members on one person because you want to make the person feel bad, or you want to, just create that environment for the person where it's so bad that they don't even want to come to work anymore because you are there colluding with your colleagues as to how they feel. And Andre, have you ever gone through that situation where you feel you've been working in an organization and people are colluding, and you feel like you're between a rock and a hard place, whether you should get involved or you should say something or you should be part of the problem?
No, I have never experienced collusion within the workplace, but I have experienced collusion, as I said earlier, from outside forces, where they will call your boss and say negative things about you with the hope that they're going to fire you.
More than one people.
When you mean those on the outside you're talking about? Yes. Because if for whatever reason, right, they will call up your boss and say things about you, the way what you say, where you conduct yourself or whatever, and with the hope, well, I wouldn't say with the hope, maybe let me give them the benefit of the doubt, but their intentions are not good.
And are not good, yes.
And they do not know how the boss will react. And sometimes the boss now comes and gets on your case.
It's very interesting you brought that up, because that's so important. It does extend to outside. Sometimes it's so bad that they try to block you everywhere.
Yeah. They have access to you. They can call you and say what the problem is, but they feel it's best they expose you, right? So they say things, whether true, not true.
Or they try to blackball you.
Well,
or paint a narrative about you that's not necessarily true.
You're not in the best interest of the organization. Yeah,
that's
and depending
that's
depending on the relationship between them and the boss.
Yes.
The boss responds.
That's true. That's true.
And they know it.
And I've found to, I think, like you say, it does extend to an external clique, because sometimes they're good friends with the boss.
Exactly.
And so...
And they're influential as well.
They're influential as well, yes. And I think that's what happens a lot here, is the influence that people use, the power that we use, that we have. We're given a little bit of power as a manager, as a GM, as a politician, as a, maybe we're in an organization as a chairman, as a board member. We use those powers to victimize people.
Yes.
And we collude to do it.
But you hear even the politicians doing it. They're demanding a resignation of a particular minister or something.
And all of them come together. Yes, people come together to make that happen.
Yeah.
And nobody is stopping and saying, but you cannot do that, or that is not right. Because most times, Andre, if you really look deep into a lot of these situations, there's no evidence of what they're saying the person is doing. That's what we're talking about. When you collude to bring somebody down, most times there's nothing, the person did not do anything. Because if the person did something, then it's not collusion. It means that there's evidence that the person, you can come together to say this person is treating us bad, right? For instance, in unions where you have, a manager who is really treating their staff poorly, and so the staff come together to say, we have the evidence that this person has been a bad manager. In that case, it may seem as collusion, but again, they're coming together for a cause, and there's evidence. But colluding to do things that are just not kosher for no reason, or most times if somebody stands up to them, then they collude to try to pigeonhole you or to blackball you because you have pointed now the things that they are doing that's not right.
And that's why you see a lot of people just stay quiet.
That's what I'm saying. So and that's what we are discussing as well, because.
And by the way, I'm not the only one who has been through this sort of thing. Outside collusion, I'm talking about.
Yes.
Some of my colleagues, or former colleagues, I know they've gone through the same thing.
Yes. And so why aren't we speaking up? Why do we allow collusion to silence us? Why are we so silent about these things? Because, Andre, they get so bad. They hurt families. They hurt people, and when you look at our organization,
you could lose your job as well.
You could lose your job.
And I wonder how they feel.
I don't know if some of them feel bad as at all, Andre. Some people sleep with their mouth wide open. Because the thing about it is that if you live in a particular life that is where you do not care about others, or you take part in dishonest acts, how can you feel bad, Andre, if that's the way you live?
Maybe
some of them have no conscience.
Maybe they didn't intend for it to go that far.
Well,
where you lose your job.
Well, that's the thing. Some of them is the things they do. Some of them use the names of boards to do things that are not right. So some people would say, oh, the board has asked me to do this and that. And sometimes the board doesn't know anything about it. They do it to victimize staff, to treat people bad. And so these are the things that I think we really need to get down into those things, because they infect, like I said, and affect us as individuals. Why collusion happens, right? And then we spoke of the desire for emotional safety. We spoke of individuals may collude to feel emotionally safe with colleagues, even if it means compromising their integrity, right? And I spoke of the chameleon effect. There's also that effect which refers to the tendency for people to unconsciously mimic the behavior of others to connect and fit in. So some of us want to fit in. We do not want to say anything. We do not have the gonads or even the backbone. And one of the things I've seen, Andre, even whilst I was doing the research, one of the things I've seen is that as St. Lucians, we're very confident to curse each other quickly, but we're not confident to stand up for what is right.
That's right.
And I shudder, because I say to myself, why are we like that? Is it because we really don't have self-confidence as a people? Is it why are we quick to curse each other, but we're not quick to stand up for what is right? We don't protest. Our protesting is very small, to the extent where those people who stand up for what is right are chastised.
Exactly.
So all of us stand up on the other side, and we say it secretly. So we believe what the person is doing. We believe in the protest, right? But we will never go. You know why we won't go? Because the collusion is so bad, Andre. We tell ourselves we have to eat too. We have to eat. You have to feed your family. So you really cannot get involved, and that's where the silencing comes in. So we're not revolutionary people. We don't really, at least I haven't seen. I think what I've seen is very small numbers of people who say, don't do that, that's not right, I will stand for it, and then they blackball them.
But Lotus, you know what's happening there in Israel, right? With the people of Gaza. And you see what's been happening in the US, where people are protesting against it. You see the students at these universities and so on, police and so on getting involved to suppress what they're doing.
That's right.
Right? It goes on and on and on. You have the court system weighing in and saying you can't do this sort of thing. This is against the law.
Yes,
right?
that's
and they come down on the judges and so on. So very few people will want to take that kind of pressure. Okay,
but
very few people.
Yeah, but we must understand, Andre, there's strength in numbers as well.
Well,
you know, when things stop is when a number of people stand up against it. Because if it's two people alone that's standing up, and we stand up on the sidelines and we say nothing, that's when we have these people being attacked. But if a whole bunch of us go and say, no, we're not going to stand for it, guess what? there will be some movement,
Yes, of
some
course,
change.
definitely.
Andre,
But
give the numbers because I
Yes,
definitely
today-
want our
Yes, today I'm going to give one number because our fixed line
Fixed
is
line.
actually down.
okay.
We're working on that as we speak. So let me just give the number for the WhatsApp platform. It is 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. So it's just WhatsApp is available for now, 287-0971.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Andre. So we were talking about why collusion happens, and I spoke of the desire for emotional safety. The other thing,
And also, Lotus, remember as well, we come from a society where we were taught from the home, you don't talk back, right?
You're right.
You don't protest, and if you,
You
try,
don't say anything.
you've been shut down.
That's
shut
true.
up.
That's
shut
true.
up. So remember, keep that in mind as well.
So it's our backgrounds too that hold us
Yes.
hostage, and we don't learn. But we could curse very very easily. we seem to have a background of cursing very quickly, but we don't have a background of even answering or explaining ourselves or saying why we feel something is not right. And when one person stands up, they're considered the bad
the
person.
black sheep.
The black
That's right.
Yes.
And you're targeted, and
You are.
And generally, we see the results of that sort of pressure, and you say, "Me boy, let me not say anything."
Let me
here."
not say anything because yes, I do not want that.
Right?
I do not want that.
You have a call, by the
I
way.
have a call.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, this is Unrestricted, hosted by Lotus.
Hi, good morning. This is Unrestricted.
Good morning, Lotus.
Good morning.
And good morning, Andre.
Morning, sir.
Very, very lovely topic today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Like you do say in your preamble, things we don't ever talk about. So I'm happy that you are bringing out some of the topics that we never talk about, because
Yes.
this is so real
Mm-hmm.
and alive in St. Lucia, and it's not funny. You asked a question, why don't we push back? And that is in itself is a very, very important question.
Mm-hmm.
And it also shows that the little belief that people have in the power of the people. As you said also, that we don't protest, and it stems from all that not believing in the power of the people. We believe in the power of the minority. So the 17 politicians will always have so much more power than the whole island, that we don't recognize that these guys are really there at the behest of our votes.
Yes.
And we need to recognize the strength, like you said, the power of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
One person going on the waterfront with a placard is one thing. 10,000 going on the same waterfront with 10,000 placards is an entirely different
That's right.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it is time the people of St. Lucia, I don't want to talk about the rest of the world, but I want to talk about my neck of the woods, that we recognize that there is power in numbers. The power resides with the people, and we need, especially now, in my humble opinion, this country is almost a lawless state. And when I say that, I'm referring to just your everyday encounter with people,
Mm-hmm.
in the traffic, wherever, in a bar, wherever. You say something to somebody that they don't like, and the plethora of curses, like you said, that people are so confident to dish out, and they seem to have an abundant supply of it under their tongue. So these are some of the things. You hardly see people standing up for what is right.
Yes.
If people know things are right, they know it, but that fear that they will get victimized, not recognizing that if all of you come up against the manager or the supervisor, something will happen, because most 9 out of 10 times or 100% of the time, there's more line staff than their supervisors.
Exactly.
So we need to recognize that we have power in numbers, and then we can effect the change that we want if we just get out of that fear shell that we have built around us. And not only built around us, Andre made a point there a while ago, insofar as how we are being cultured not to say anything. So this goes way back. And to make it worse, we have now a set of praying politicians that is preying on the ignorance of the people and the fear of the people, and they keep feeding them the hogwash instead of empowering them to recognize the strength that they have. So once again, very, very good topic. I hope that topic you have there can reach a few people that will find themselves being emboldened to stand up for a few things, because we have a lot of wrong things going on in St. Lucia right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, caller. Thank you.
Good contribution.
That was a really good contribution. Thank you.
Let me just remind our listeners that you can only call on the WhatsApp platform. It is 287-0971, 287-0971.
Yes. And we were discussing the whys of collusion, why it happens. And the other point I wanted to bring in is the lack of transparency, where top management are absent or often missing in action, where some people are not being supervised adequately. So you have a manager, but your manager is never there. Your manager is never there. Your manager does not speak to you. He doesn't care what's happening. He comes in, he says hi, he goes to his office. You know, we have another call?
Yes, we do.
Oh.
This is Unrestricted with Lotus.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Andre. Good morning, Lotus.
Good morning.
Morning to you, my friend.
How are you?
Oh, very well, thank you. And you?
I am fine, thank you. Thanks for accepting my call.
You're welcome.
Lotus, there is a phrase that said, do the right thing, even if no one is watching. You believe that, eh?
Yes, I do. It makes sense.
Yeah, do the right thing, even if no one is watching. Let me tell you, you work in a place and you are aware somebody is being dishonest. Then you go to this person and say, look, you are doing something and it's not right. You better stop it. Now, this person might tell you, okay, I'm aware, I know what I'm doing is wrong, but can you join me? Then you say, no, I'm not joining you because what you are doing there is wrong, is dishonest. Now, and the person promised to stop what he's doing. The person promised you he will stop what he's doing because you come to the person and the person agreed it is wrong, dishonest, and the person agreed to stop.
Yeah.
But the person continued that, and later down the line, the person got fired because somebody noticed that, and the person didn't come to him. The other person noticed he was doing something wrong, but the person didn't come to him. The person went to a higher authority, and this person got fired. Now, you know, this person that got fired, the person that is doing the dishonest thing there, got fired. Now, you know, this person will come to you and say you are the one that caused him to get fired.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, because I experienced that. Not knowing that another person saw what he was doing, didn't tell him anything, but went to the boss. You understand? But you didn't go to the boss. You came to him and said, stop it. And you know, you that come to him and tell him to stop it, you know, you can get the blame for that. So that's why some people, when they see things, they don't say anything, Lotus.
I get that. But the other thing we have to take into consideration is letting people be accountable for their wrongdoing. I mean, this person cannot blame you for being fired when his actions itself is what got him fired. I think a lot of times we shift the accountability. You cannot take blame for his dishonesty. Yes, I do get what you're saying. Yes, it makes you feel really bad at the end of the day because it almost seems as if it's you that went over to the boss.
Yeah. And you are innocent, all that. You didn't go and report him. You came to him. But the other person that didn't come to him but went straight to the boss. So when you see something so, Lotus, who you go to? To the person that is doing the wrong thing or to the boss direct?
And that's the dilemma. I think because somebody else reported him to the boss, you kind of have to look into how the discovery was made, because you would now realize that you're not the only person who saw what he was doing. And I think a lot of times people believe that they're doing something and it's only one person see them doing it or nobody sees them.
Yeah, that's what.
And so the strength there is in the numbers of people who saw what he was doing, not necessarily you feeling bad because he got fired and it wasn't because of you.
So I ask you a question, Lotus. Who you go to? To him or to a higher authority?
I think from my perspective, it depends on the relationship you have with the person as well. Like you say, you went to him. I think if you go to him, that's a good approach. And if he continues, you can go to you will have to go to management. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You also have to be responsible for your own actions in letting evil persist. So that's what I'm saying. What is your responsibility in this situation? And whereas I understand what you're saying when sometimes people see things and they don't do anything, but what is your contribution in letting evil persist? Do you feel comfortable sleeping at night?
No.
And so that's the decision you have to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. That was really interesting because he's right, and I think that's why a lot of people don't say anything too, because people do not want to be responsible for people losing their jobs. But the thing about it is that you've made a decision to lose your job once you're going to do something that is in breach of company policy, right? You have made that decision, not somebody else. And I think a lot of times people want to hold you accountable for their wrongdoing. You ever see that, Andre? You're stealing and then you want to get vexed with me that you are fired. That, to me, I don't understand that perspective. But I was speaking about the lack of transparency. I was saying where the reason why people collude, because if the manager is never there, then people are able to do things that they would not normally do if they were being, monitored as well. And some people have no boundaries when it comes to being monitored. If the manager is not there, they will do what they want. So they will sell the stones and take a few stones if the manager is not looking. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. One of the things he spoke about was integrity, about doing the right thing even when nobody is watching, which is where some people go wrong. Of course, poor management practices, so unethical or incompetent leadership, can create an environment where collusion is more likely. So if you have a manager who has a drinking problem and he's accustomed to stealing alcohol from the business, it's easier for the staff to do it because they see the manager is doing it, right? So you have that kind of collusion. If the staff will not talk, if the manager is drinking, if they want to drink, the manager cannot hold them accountable because everybody is included in it.
We have a call.
We have a call.
This is Unrestricted with Lotus.
This is so nice. Good morning.
Good morning. I want to ask a question. I was in a situation. I was working at a spa where I was supposed to do a body treatment, but the owner of the spa, and it was a very high-end spa, like Prince had a house not too far, the one that died, the singer. And it was a body treatment, and the owner of the spa, instead of using the right body wash, they run out of it and they use dishwashing liquid.
Oh my.
Like, what do you, and there is no one else that you can tell because the person that owns, the person that hire you, the head of the head is the one doing it. Like, for me, I couldn't sleep. Like you say, how do you sleep at night? I couldn't sleep. I guess the other thing, I end up leaving because I am the one doing the service with that person.
Yes.
Right? How do you, well, for me, was leaving, but is there another way that you can handle those situations? That's the question I want to ask.
Now, I again, this is Unrestricted. I am not, it's only from my heart and, my perspective. I think a lot of times is how we approach these situations in terms of what we say. Yeah. Yes. You could say, I feel uncomfortable. I feel really uncomfortable. It really bothered me. What are we doing here? I just want to make sure that I'm not agreeing to something that I know that it's not in our policy.
Yeah.
Or, I know that based on our vision and our mission. And I think that's what happened with a lot of staff. They don't make references to the things that companies stand for. And the reason why we don't make references to that is because we forget what the companies stand for, because they're so evil, they are never in line with what they stand for. But you can quote what they stand for because what they stand for is always on their website. No?
Yeah.
So sometimes true. It's how you approach them. I feel very uncomfortable. Is it something that I should continue doing? Is it a practice that that's acceptable so that I know I can take dishwashing liquid to bathe somebody else? And then it will probably push them in a corner to watch themselves and to reflect.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's not
Yeah.
always the wise thing.
It
You made a
wasn't that
decision to
easy.
leave, so
I just left because I'm feeling so bad that
so
I'm
bad.
now
Yeah,
giving that body. They just put like oil in it, like a nice oil to change the smell, so you won't know it was a protein treatment. But as I'm doing the service, I feel so bad because now that service didn't even cost $5, but they're paying
that's right.
$125 for it.
Because your own personal goals and aspirations and vision for yourself does not include probably lying to people that way. So that's why you feel bad. And I think it's always about our internal clock, our internal, navigation system. And so that's why a lot of us we stand up and we don't say anything and we feel that we will be vindicated. But we have to stand up as well.
Yeah, so me not standing up didn't do anything. That means other people end up getting more dishwashing liquid.
Well,
Me walking away.
I feel bad for you,
I guess
but it was a decision that you decided to make in the moment.
Yeah.
It still stands that they're the ones doing the wrong thing, administering the wrong thing as well. So
Okay. But it still makes me feel bad hating you because I feel like I didn't take responsibility. For something I should have done.
Well, that's how all of us have to grow, eh? So you realize that, so the next time around you will not stand for dishwashing liquid.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You know who just came to my mind, Lotus? Remember Julian Assange?
Who?
Julian Assange, that guy from WikiLeaks.
I can't remember the name, but
Yeah, he leaks documents and so on, which embarrass organizations, including the U.S. government. There was apparently there was torture on the part of U.S. Soldiers, I think in Afghanistan.
Yes.
And he leaked that. Man, this guy was actually holed up at an airport, the airport or at the embassy, for how many years? They were after him.
But that is the thing.
Because he's exposing them.
Yes, people attack you.
That is why people are afraid. You asked them a while ago, why are we like that? It's because of
some of us we are afraid. We don't want to lose our jobs.
Yeah. Your family.
But what I'm finding a lot, Andre, is that there are so many more people that agree with you, that see the wrong thing happening.
Yes.
And so now, that's why I tell you it's probably our self-confidence, because sometimes your colleagues will come to you to say, I see this happening and I don't like it. And and you'll say, okay, when we have our staff meeting, let's talk about it. And one person brings it up and all the staff do as if it's not you. They look in other places. They don't stand up.
But even as a talk show host, right? People have issues and they will come to you and say, can you please talk about that?
Yes.
Because they do not want to put themselves in a position where they're going to be targeted.
So that's why I'm saying, Andre, it starts with our self-confidence, first of all. It goes into us not being able to stand up for what we believe because we don't have the backbone to do it. And I think the further, we don't think there's strength in numbers, but there is strength in numbers.
Yeah, but how many?
I think we just need to pull together.
How many is numbers?
We need to pull together, because guess what's going to happen? If you don't say anything, Andrea, and you continue to work in the organization and you know this person is stealing, you know what's going to happen eventually? The company collapses. You lose your job anyway.
But Lotus...
Or worst case scenario, Andre, there's an arrest or something happened, and because you didn't say anything, you have to go to jail for 6 months.
You have another call. You have another call.
So, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Good morning, Andre and Lotus.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Hi. Very interesting topic this morning, I must say, because I actually experienced that earlier this year, my previous workplace. And one of the things I wanted to mention is the fact that the human resource department of various organizations, as much as they encourage their staff to speak out and to say things that are on their minds and whatnot, I mean, despite the fact that they mention that, you still become a target, even if you were to speak out against certain things that are unjust in the various companies. And speaking from my personal experience, I can tell you that a lot of persons within certain organizations do not trust the HR departments.
Very right. Correct.
Yeah, and in my honest opinion, the HR departments are supposed to be the ones who, maintain confidentiality. If you were to make certain reports about certain persons in the high hierarchy, those same HR personnel who you would trust with that confidential information would still go out and leak the fact that you were the one who, mentioned certain names and whatnot. And
so that's where the name, the word collusion comes in. So the HR departments are colluding as well.
Exactly.
I hope the HR departments are listening.
I'm pretty sure they are. I'm pretty sure they are. Yes, I just wanted to mention that. And thank you so much for bringing up that topic. I appreciate that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, thank you.
He made a very good point there. And that's what I'm talking about when I speak of collusion. Collusion is so bad that's where it is. It's not necessarily just amongst the peers, the people on the ground. It's high up in management, in the HR departments. Because if a staff is coming to say something that is happening, sometimes there's no investigation by the HR departments. They just shut them down. But then your objectives speak to respecting my opinion, giving me a voice. So that's why I'm saying there's a lot of mismatch information. So you're saying one thing, but you do not believe in what you're saying. So you give me an objective, a set of objectives. You give me a letter that says, welcome to the organization where we believe in fairness, where we believe in this and that. And then if something happens and I go to the HR department, I almost feel scolded because the HR department is part and parcel of that, the ring. So there's no independence in terms of integrity and what you have to do that is right. Now, notwithstanding, it's not all HR departments that work like that, but I'm just saying when we discuss collusion, we talk about at that level, management, managers, HR departments, not standing up for what is right and allowing things to fester. That is part of collusion as well. All right, Andre, really good calls, I must say, because I know it happens. People are going through it. One of the why collusion too is another set is a pressure and stress. Working under pressure can lead to individuals making risky decisions or engaging in unethical behaviors. So some people are so stressed, they see something happening, but because the environment is stressful, they don't want to say anything. They get involved in the risky behavior. And does it always pay you to take part in that risky behavior? How do you feel about making that decision that you do not believe in anyway, right? So that's another reason why collusion happens, right? And I wanted us to talk about also workplace dissatisfaction. Employees who feel undervalued may cooperate to disrupt the workplace operations. And that we see that happening a lot, Andre, where people are not happy or they feel that the managers or management not doing something for them, so they collude to stick from the company because they're not happy.
You have another call? Yes, you do. This is Unrestricted.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for calling.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. What about you?
I'm blessed. Andrea, you sound like your voice is coming under the weather. I pray that you not.
Thanks for the prayer.
Okay. I have a little situation. I work in a resort, right? And I have a manager. And whenever I talk about something that's affecting me, like, okay, for instance, if I feel stressed with another team member in the department, like I feel the load of work is on me and the team member is not pushing to the performance of work. And I talk, like, the first thing she could tell me is resign. And I take offense. I starting to take a lot of offense to it. If she says something about talking about standard of service, and then I give an opinion of something, the first thing she could, like, it's always me. She always pick to say, well, you can resign. And I am like, I'm really feeling offended about it. And I'm wondering, should I take steps? Should I take it to HR? Or
I think
is
it
something that she should tell me? Like, I do, because I don't feel like the business is not yours. It's not like I am not coming to work. I having problems with the work. I am doing my work. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. It's just that if I feel strained because I'm feeling strained by another team member and I argue about that team member or I talk to that team member and then we end up having an argument, the first thing like she can say to me is resign.
Have you,
and I
have
feel
you
that it's
pulled
not,
her on a side? Have you pulled her on a side in a formal conversation to say to her, based on what she's saying to you, you are offended, and is that how we do things here, and that you are concerned that she's not, addressing your needs? Have you done that?
no, I have never done it.
Because a lot of times we have to, because you see, your right will turn to your wrong when somebody says, you've not addressed this with me, you've not said anything, and then you go straight to management or you go to HR. You need to pull her up and have a conversation with her, not disrespectfully, because I think a lot of times when we say we're going to pull somebody on a side, we always think it's a shouting match. But you can pull her on a side and let her know how dissatisfied you are when you complain to her and her responses to you.
Because I will do that, because I feel like if I was working for her, I don't think the word for her would tell me to resign. She would say, I probably think she would say, I would see how I can work with that with you, or how I could work between the two of you all. The first thing, like, I took a lot of offense, because I'm like, if that is your business, you will not tell me to resign, because the thing is that it's not like I'm not performing, it's not like I'm not coming to work, it's not like I'm not doing my work. So if you have somebody that is coming to work, is always at work, is always punctual, will always be there whether they're not well or not, and they're having a problem with another team member, and the first thing you can tell him to resign, I feel there is some kind of like hate. I don't know. Maybe
address it with her, and do it respectfully. Take your notes so that you will remember what you have to say, because sometimes we think we can just go in and say things and we forget the critical things. So make a note of what you want to tell her. Be respectful, because she's your supervisor. You don't want to come off as being insubordinate. But address it. There's nothing wrong with addressing people. And sometimes when our managers are less mature than us, they may take offense that you actually pull them aside. But make sure you do it respectfully, so that if anything, you can take it above her head. You can go to another rank.
Okay, then. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Andrew, you have a blessed day.
You too. You too.
You as well.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yes, you as well.
Yes, Andre. A lot of times I don't know why we feel like we cannot address our managers, or pull them on the side and say something respectfully. You don't shout after. Like I'm saying, respect is a mutual thing, and we have to understand that not because somebody is our manager, we cannot pull them on the side, because they're human just like us. We have to pull them on the side and tell them, what you did, I didn't like it, or why did you feel the need to speak to me like that? I've always done that. Always, from a little girl. Excuse me, why are you shouting after me? Why did you feel the need to tell me X and Y? And the thing about it is that it's unfortunate that some of them, they feel so embarrassed, because afterwards when they look at it, they're like, oh, my staff actually pulled me up to tell me that I behaved in a way that was not, kosher. And they end up feeling really bad. And sometimes you are able to resolve it. Some of them end up lashing out worse, but these are the ones that really, really, really low on confidence. So you also have to be ready for that. We don't have a lot of time, Andre. I wanted us to look at the examples of collusion, where you have hiring manipulations, where corporations are influenced to recruit, in their recruitment, the decisions to favor specific candidates. So you have collusion there, where people know somebody, they bring the person, and all they want to talk about the person is the good things that the person is doing, when they know very well that the person might not be doing as well. You have investigation interference, groups coordinating to impede internal investigations or audits. You can have collusion there as well, where somebody know they're doing something wrong, and they're gonna sabotage the investigation, and other people know they're trying to sabotage the investigation, and they are involved in it. They let them write letters that they know that there are lies in the letter, and they take the letter and they're okay with the letter. Collaborative sabotage, and that's what I was talking about. This form of collusion involves coordinated actions to disrupt company operations or harm operational interests, deliberately providing incorrect information, creating workplace discord, and coordinated disruption of operations or systems. There's favor for favor in terms of collusion as well. So these are some of the things in terms of examples. You can look at these examples and think of how it may be happening in your organization or even in your groups, in not necessarily a company, but it could be a committee. It could be just a group of people that supposed to be representing the interests of another group. And when you go to them, unions, that happen a lot in unions as well, where there's a lot of collusion. People missing their money in their bank account or in their union book, and sometimes it's collusion between the accountant and the person writing the book and updating the book. There's a lot of things happening. And so if you don't say anything, and sometimes we see we're missing money and we're not saying anything, we don't have the confidence to go to the person. And even in situations where some of us are illiterate as well, that's another thing that keeps us back from addressing things. If we know we cannot spell or cannot speak properly, we feel, well, we cannot speak properly, we cannot spell, we're not going to address this person. If you feel you cannot address the person by yourself, go with somebody else who probably understands your language. Or if you feel you can only speak Creole, relate that information to somebody else so they can help you to break it down as well. Yes, Andre?
Yes.
So I know, Andre, how many minutes we have?
We have 8 minutes.
Okay. So I am going to just talk about quickly the impact on workplace, on collusion. What happens in organizations when people continue to collude and things start to break down.
You have another call.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning. Good morning, Andre, and your guests.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for raising this topic. I'm a retired person, but this topic has been close to my heart nearly all my work life.
Okay, great.
And I have felt the brunt of collusion and conspiracy and everything that is wrong in HR department and amongst managers. And this is something that I try to warn younger people about without prejudicing them. You go out there all geared up, you went and did your education. Like me, I worked full day and then studied at night at home at the Management College from Barbados, 5 till 9 o'clock at night. I now getting back home to a wife and children. Building up myself to a point where I could feel comfortable that I can do my job properly as a supervisor, as a manager. And I got in one of the last places I worked. I was more qualified than the manager. And, that was held against me.
Yes.
And the guy did everything possible. He put me in every position, every difficult position in the company to see if he could destroy me, that I would run or that I would do something stupid. But my slate was clean, right? I was not into anything that should not have been done. You know what they finally did? Just called me in at the HR, gave me a check and asked me if I have anything to say. I said, the HR manager, I said, ma'am, with all due respect to you, I never had an issue with you. But here's it. You have a check written 3 days prior and asking me, if I have anything to say. Thank you for my check. Have a good day. And I left. Right?
Wow.
But it is real horrible out there.
It is.
I was reliably informed by the manager's deputy manager, the manager's assistant, that the guy felt scared of me, that I might be his successor. Because he was only handed the job, in my estimation, he was only handed the job because his manager got on ceremonially removed, and he had always given the hint that, he's the next best person. Right? But I did my job excellently all the way through. There was nobody ever called me in and questioned my job, what I was doing. Right? But this guy was on my case, and he kept moving it around for the different departments in the company, just like not one thing. And he tried to frustrate me, but I stood my ground.
Yes.
So eventually they just wrote, just before Christmas one year, they just wrote a check for me 3 days before they called me, and I went in and asked me if I have it. So I have nothing to say. But this is something that really needs to be, the young people need to be aware of this when they go to a job.
Yes.
So qualified and everything, and thinking that, I just do my job. But you see the office politics, so-called, it is terrible.
It is terrible, yes.
It's a really terrible thing. And there's the old boy mentality out there where managers tell you, man, you come in here to try to change things. I've been doing this job for 25 years. Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
And the companies, I've seen 2 companies fall as a result of that statement.
Yeah.
You understand? because they think because they've been doing something for 25 years that they are the creator.
Yeah.
You know, life changes, things change. There are new methods. We don't. How many people travel by donkey cart today, man? That is outdated.
You're very right. You're very
You
right.
know, people remain people, but the systems become outdated. I thank you for giving me a say, and I hope that this can be a benefit to somebody out there, especially some young person, but as well as the HR people and the managers who sit so prettily with the $10,000 jobs and the company paid car and all that, and you know they're scrunting for $100 a week. You know,
yes.
Finding it real rough to make anything, and then to make your life difficult by conspiring against you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, and have a blessed day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yes.
That was
Okay.
a good contribution, Andre. I guess we have to wrap
Start wrapping up, yes.
Yes, Andre. So I am happy that we got to talk about it a bit, and you know, to encourage us to take advantage of the whistleblower situation and programs that are now coming to environments and companies, because people it's so bad that now the whistleblower thing is a big thing where companies are now having to they are forced to put policies in place where employees or staff or management are able to complain through these systems of anonymity, where you can say what you're going through and what's happening. So I think if we continue to do things without saying anything, our companies are going to collapse. And or if we use those whistleblower programs, we will see how much collusion there is in terms of victimization and disrespect and, you know, attack. So yes, I hope that we got something good from this topic, Andre. It was a very serious topic. Sometimes we have a good time on Unrestricted about talking about the things we don't want to talk about, but sometimes things are very serious, and this one was a very serious conversation.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, callers, for calling. I really appreciate it, because sometimes when we have serious conversations, we almost feel like people will not call to contribute, but this was really, really good. Thank you, callers, for your contribution, and thank you, listeners.
And thank you, Lotus, for your service.
You're welcome.
Thank you
Andre.
very much. You've been listening to and viewing Unrestricted with Lotus. Check us out again next week, Wednesday, same time from 9 o'clock until 10 for another Unrestricted. Now stand by for Hard Drive, that's coming up next.